Universal embodiment versus absurdism versus nihilism. So, nihilism. This is probably going to be the most depressing part of this video, so here we go. Camus got into this with his absurdism in The Myth of Sisyphus, and of course many nihilists and absurdists have taken this as far as it can be taken, but I have to ask, what does this philosophy serve them? The universe is ultimately indifferent to my existence, and so, most literally, my existence has no objective purpose. A subjective one, surely, and a collective one, I would say, as well. Given that we all share in the struggle, we all dance in this illusion together. As Shakespeare said, we are all players on the stage of life. Let us examine and develop and take up our roles. I'm just going to read straight out of the book for this one. These are the perennial problems I didn't agree to, but am now consciously in acceptance of. My ticket for this crazy amazing ride. It's part of the deal, and I truly believe I can manage it. Now, finally. Because we are an organism that is inherently bestowed with no technical working fallacy that works epistemologically and ontologically to balance things out, we are logically in our right to forge our own philosophy and forge our own life narrative. We are inherently meaning-making machines. The idea of the story and the narrative has been a fundamental part of the human condition since as far back as history is recorded. This is our birthright. This is our evolutionary birthright, is to make up a story for ourselves. And you should not feel bad about doing that. Now, how do we go about doing that? I would say from the most logical and well-examined method possible, one that fluctuates the least and squares well with what we do know about ontological reality. I get to choose my philosophy, choose my framework for integration with society, and my lived experience. As we've danced in this illusion for so long, we've refined our process. We communicate and construct an entire world, a social system based around accommodating and avoiding the harshness of nature. This is how we live the modern active human life. Throughout my day, I can choose from a dashboard of frameworks for how I want to integrate with reality, regardless of my emotional state. I now hold a smile throughout the day thanks to the knowledge and wisdom my species has acquired and preserved. My smile returns to a neutral position when I sleep, and as it will one final time upon my demise. Not a frown, an expression which indeed takes more muscles to perform, but a neutral at one-ment with this balanced part of the universe, at one with its indifference. So our existence may be absurd, and the universe may be indifferent to us, and we can embody those notions by the absurdity of our dreams that we can embrace for hours. Like, it's not an 8-hour period, but it is, 1/3 of our day that we're dedicating to getting around in that type of mindset, 1/3 of our life that we can imagine as being more integrated with absurdism and with the indifference of the universe to our condition. We are in that state when we are not in control, when we are not conscious. I sure hope this is making sense to someone out there. I do apologize for everything changing up like this. I'm in the process of moving right now, and I'm also in the process of writing this book and trying to make this video series along with this book, so I continuously am adding to this video, or these videos as I go. That being said, I want to emphasize this point that is the concept of care in general. What nihilism and absurdism can bring us into, if we go to embrace those philosophies as ideologies, is a state of apathy, is a state of not caring. And what they say about, like, if you're going to embrace nihilism, then, like, to not care about something is to care about nothing, so that means that you're doing it wrong. Like, you're still caring about something, and the whole idea of nihilism is nihil, is nothing, to just embrace absolute nothing. At least that's how I come to understand it. But again, what does that serve the organism? What does that serve us? Clearly it doesn't. Clearly that doesn't get us anywhere. That just, that can easily bring us into states of depression, and that's not cool. And the best example of why this doesn't work is an example from Nietzsche himself. There's a story he tells where he is riding in the back of a taxi, and he is deeply into nihilism at this point in his life. He is deeply considering nothing nothing as a worldview. And so his driver says, well, they start having engine problems, and the driver says, well, okay, I'm gonna need an extra set of ears here. Once you start hearing this sound, if you hear a clink clink, like 2 clinks repeatedly, very close together, I need you to tell me. And I guess because his hearing's bad or something like that. So as they go down the road, they start to hear the sound, and Nietzsche is found himself in a deep state of caring, a deep state of attentiveness, and he is completely absorbed in this paying attention, only to realize after that he was brought into that state by the situation, naturally caring. He was naturally attentive and, like I say, paying attention. Like we exert effort in our attention, we pay attention. So he was brought into that state naturally, and that made him question, like, well, if this is a natural thing for me to be always in a state of caring or caring about something, then what is it? How can we possibly embrace nihil? How can we embrace nothing? So what I've come to realize is that we are brought into this world with a natural innate desire to care, or innate drive to care about something. And this is the case for all organisms. This is the case for, we could say, for microscopic life. We could say for self-organizing criticality in cellular automata. We could say this is the case for cell morphogenesis, for cell autopoiesis in cells. There's a desire there to continue reproducing and things like that. So it's undeniable that we have an innate desire to care, and we should not fight it. The question is, what should we care about? And this is the really cool thing about being a human, or a vessel for universal introspection. We get to choose what we care about, and this is where, like I talk about this more in the book, we really are wasting our lives if we do not take advantage of that. Once we hear the good word, once we hear that we can take control of this vessel, once we hear that we can do more with our lives than just continuing to go along deterministically and being affected more by causal chains of influence, then we have a duty to do so. If not a duty to the rest of everyone, a duty to our future selves, a duty to our best selves. Like, we're going to keep doing the same thing, we're going to end up bitter about how we've wasted our lives, and that's what happens if we aren't first exposed to these things and then choose to take advantage of them. Now, the type of care that we embrace is indeed different from other animals, because we have so much volition over our lives. We have a sense of agency that is different. We have imposable thumbs. We can take hold of things and make things. It's like the universe has finally garnered tools, and it's learning how to use its tools to begin caring about itself. Another way to look at it is simply that we are the universe finally caring about itself. So even if the entire universe at large is indifferent to its own manifestations, it has finally manifested a vessel that can, or manifested a version of itself that can care and act and have massive impact on itself, and begin to sprout this blossoming emergence of Homo sapiens, of this creature that can begin to build a better system for itself. Could be considered a new phase in universal evolutionary development, you could say. It's just so hard to look at it this way, because we are a speck. We're such a small little creature on just a tiny rock in the middle of this vast cosmos, but this is beginning. And I would also say that, like, the natural argument to this would be, well, look at all the corruption we do. Yes, we are so creative and we're so inventive. Well, no creature has, what's the quote? No creature has found more inventive ways to bring forth torture and pain upon itself and other creatures, that whole thing. But at the same time, we are improving at that. We have a large group of people on the planet that are attempting to remedy the mistakes of our past, and we are setting forth rules and ways of improving societies. We have lists of things that people should not do, just common etiquette that got put into place in like 15th century, and we've been progressively getting better and better about managing this human condition, teaching this organism, teaching this vessel how to use its tools, teaching this universal introspection vessel how best to introspect and how best to use the tools at its disposal. So it's like it's us, this little speck against the rest of the cosmos. That's one way to look at it, and that's really not the best way to look at it either, not the only way at least, because we are not the only ones out there. I highly doubt it. I mean, the Fermi paradox is strong, the great filter is quite a filter, but I would highly doubt that there are not other Homo sapiens, but very, very likely that this model is a very robust one, very efficient and effective. And this probably came up elsewhere too. I mean, for a species to be completely selfish, then it would just end up wiping itself out. So what I'm getting at is that if we do end up wiping ourselves out, that's not like the end of the line for the whole universe being able to give a crap about itself. There's probably other versions out there doing that as well. And we'll probably rise up again too. Like I mean, people examine this at higher depth than I do, but if we do end up wiping ourselves out, we're probably not going to take out the entire species. There's probably going to be bunkers. People will survive. And even if not, there will be remnants of the rule systems that we put in place. Google is doing things about preserving data in different forms, and lots of other major projects have been done in this regard. We have the seed facility. We're making the right moves now to be able to preserve our species, such that if we do get wiped out, we can come back better and stronger than ever, and continue to progress. It's gonna be a slow, long road, and we're stuck in the middle of it right now. Like, we're in the period where we're fighting to see where this is going. But what I'm getting at is that we can at least take gratitude in the progress that we've made so far. The species has never behaved better than it is now, morally and socially and culturally. And it's never been more creative, it's never been more entertaining, and it's never been more productive. And I'd like to see that continue. I'd like to see the progress that we made so far continue. But again, if it doesn't, oh well. We've at least been able to witness this incredible point in human evolution, where we can talk about the universe like this. We can have the universe talking through us about itself, or however you want to look at that. Now that sounds all like pretentious, like I am the universe speaking to, or whatever, but I think you understand what I mean. This is a very unique time that we can be experiencing massive gratitude, massive feelings of empathy and connection and relation, and relevance realization. And this is the other point I wanted to make. As ignorant of itself as it is, the universe has manifested something, finally, that can care about itself. Yeah, finally the universe has a way to care about itself, and it's us. So let's embrace that, shall we? And take hold of our passions and pursue good deeds, pursue morally productive, pragmatic activities. I mean, I'm sorry, I'm going on a little bit long with this, but a big one is the golden rule. Like, we don't have any other animals that can say, do unto other animals as you'd like to. No, they just eat each other. But now we have these rules. We have, like, the universe finally found a way to speak. It made a system that can vibrate vocals and move its lips and such. So now it can communicate and get these ideas out and start using the tools at its disposal and effectively and efficiently and quickly begin taking on big projects and expanding out into the cosmos. And we're at the beginning of this. Like, we're at what Michio Kaku calls stage 1 civilization, where we're approaching that. Like, a big step towards stage 1 is when we reach total global communication. That's a major step, and we're already in that. We're in the age of the internet. And the next stage in that is becoming interplanetary, and that may just very well happen in our lifetimes, or in the next 100 years or so. If not, and I should say, if not interplanetary, at least expanding out into the solar system. I personally think the best project in this regard is building an off-world system, because terraforming a whole other planet is a huge, huge project. It can be done, but man, it's going to take a lot of resources. And it may just be easier to do space mining and have automatic 3D printers out there building a new world for us, or building like off-world stations that are far enough away to where if the Earth actually does get hit by an asteroid, it will not like send off debris and destroy it. And so that's big. I mean, what an amazing time to be alive, right? Like, we are able to actually be in this time when we're talking about these kind of projects, like really interplanetary travel and interstellar travel. Like, we're sending probes out to other star systems. There's a lot to be grateful for, and but it's hard to see that when we're so affected by the world. And this is the other part of being an animal, being an evolutionarily developed creature, is we get caught up by the causative deterministic factors. Like, what I'm trying to say is that the universe has finally manifested a creature that can fight against those causative factors, or at least use its processing system much more efficiently and reorganize what it lets affect it. Like, I try to describe this right in the book, and I keep revising it, but the way I look at it now, or the way that I view my life the majority of the time now, from the kind of studies I've been doing, is as if we are a processing system that can take in all of these causative factors. And if we are not trained, if we are not self-aware, if we don't have mindfulness practices, or if we're not taught any of this stuff, the processing system will not be doing very much. The causative factors will go like this, just go straight through us. But when we are trained, when we do have self-control and we can begin leading a more agential and volitional life, the causative factors will be like this. They will be rearranged, and then we will get to choose what causations we will put upon the world. We will be able to choose the ramifications of our actions better, because you can't not have any effect on the world. What's the quote? It's like, everything you do and everything you don't do has an effect on the world. So this is what the message that I really want to get across, is that you are massively missing out on life if you do not have a solid mindfulness practice, if you do not have a well-developed sense of self-awareness and responsibility, like that whole thing. And I plan to do an entire video series in the near future on these mindfulness practices and how to instill them in your everyday life. Or to put it another way, make it such that the integral part of the universe that is occupying itself through you can have a more mindful and meaningful and clarified experience in its experience of itself. It's a really trippy way to look at psychotherapy, but there you have it. Anyways, back to what I was talking about, sorry. The universe is entirely indifferent to its manifestations. And this is a little philosophical, but because we are the ones that are saying this, we're using a form of logic to arrive at that conclusion. So this basically has as much merit as saying that the universe is also enjoying living through us and things like that. With this mindset, we can embrace these aspects of the universe in times of trauma. When considering things that are truly unlovable, the epitome of something to be hated, such as rape or sin, we can simply choose an indifferent form of love. Like, we should still love everyone to the best of our abilities, but we have to choose how we deal with them in reality. This is similar to a parent putting their child in timeout. The mindset goes something like, I love you, but I have to ignore you right now, altering my endeavors and improving this human vessel, and I must act to remedy your processing system such that it does no more harm to others. Of course, it sounds a little robotic to talk about it like this, but this would be the properly philosophical way to discuss this idea of deterministic empathy and causality, and how we should think about causality. Thanks so much for watching. If you want to donate anything, if you feel this video is worthy, here's a Patreon. And please feel free to subscribe and comment and share this video to get more attention and get this video series out there so people can see it. Clearly, as you see by the subscriber count, there aren't many people watching this. So any of you that would feel gracious enough to share this with the world and on any platform is highly appreciated. I do not like social media. I do not like advertising my stuff. I've never felt comfortable about doing that. I have to, because that's the only way to do what I'm doing. But any help that I can get, I really appreciate it. Thanks, guys.